Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm here and I am doing a show, and I am constantly tricking myself. There was a time where, here's an analogy that worked. One time I was on this Tony Hawk tour where it was televised on ESPN, and they were starting to air it. And it was like, ooh, like we're on TV. People were going, hey, man, you're Jason Ellis from the Tony Hawk Tour. And I had already been good at skateboarding, but this was after that. It was when I was announcing for X Games and ESPN. I had an ESPN deal to be an announcer and got a monthly allowance, which was, whew, I think it was like $5,000 a month, which was really good. And I was already pretty washed up when it came to, as far as I was concerned. Like, had I been better at skateboarding? Yes, I had been. Was I still pretty good? Yeah, but not as good as I used to be. And when we would do these demos, Tony Hawk was just still so good, even though he had retired from competing. He's just one of those people that didn't matter what the ramp was, he was good straight away. That's a thing that he's always had, where he adapts to the ramp faster than everybody else, and he's doing things. He usually did a McTwist in the first ride, and I would say, dude, like, I know that it's the Tony Hawk Tour, but can you not do a 540 first ride? Because that's my last ride. And I was joking, but I was also not. Because I'm like, dude, you're burying me, And I was a little bit, mainly I was 95% joking, but 5% of me was like, give me a second, But I remember it was when I started looking around and saying, what could I do to bring something to this demo that hasn't already been brought? And that's when I discovered rafters and jumping off things that were above the ramp into the ramp. And I was like, you know what Tony Hawk won't do? He won't jump in off the rafters. I knew he wouldn't do that. And I was like, if you do that, that's another thing that you're bringing to the demo. And look, part of it was a little bit of an ego. Like, if I do it, no one else is doing it. But the other thing was, I really was like, if you just do like a mediocre version of what Tony Hawk's doing, why are you here? So I started jumping off things, and it went really well. The crowd love a psycho that will jump off ridiculously high things above a ridiculously high vert ramp. It's incredibly dangerous. And, he's Australian, and, it's everybody's like, that Australian guy, he's crazy, And that was cool. So one demo, because now I'm starting to get used to it, I now go into a skate park. We're going around the country and the world. I go into a skate park, and the first thing I do is I look up and look for things to hang off or jump off. And we were in an indoor skate park, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, it's a street course, no vert ramp. And I'm like, ugh. So people don't know, vert ramps are the U-pipey things, and that's where Jason lives. And then there's the street course. That's where Jason I don't belong. But I still skate because I always skate. I always do my best I don't duck. I always show up. And I'm looking around in there, and I see this rafter, and it hangs over this particular area that has a quarter pipe where there's transition. And I was like, and it's pretty high. It's in the rafters, I think I'm saying American and Australian rafters and rafters. I'm, as you can see, very confused. I look at it and I'm like, if I go up the wall and then walk the rafter until I get into the middle of the street course, I could jump off the rafter into this bank. And the walk is probably like 60 feet. It's a giant area. So I go up this wall, and then I go along the rafters, and people are starting to notice that there is a giant Australian that is walking along the rafters, and they're like, what's he going to do? And then this has happened to me a few times in my career where I get to where I think I'm going to jump off, and I look down and I go, shit, that's way too far. I look at it, and I remember the crowd is like, no way. Everybody gather around, and the MC's like, Jason Ellis is going to jump off the rafter. Who wants to see it? Everyone's like, yeah. And I remember looking down going, if I jump into the pocket, there's no way I can roll away on a skateboard. It's too far. But if I jump down into the pocket, I think I can land on my knee pads and slide down and live. But at least I can't go. I'm not going back down the rafters. I'm not walking back the other way. I'm definitely jumping in. But I also remember going, your career has already been and gone. And now here you are, washed up, and this is my mind, washed up, at a Tony Hawk demo, which is the coolest demo in skateboarding. He's got you here. ESPN's got you here. You're on TV, potentially. What would it take to make it? Is it even possible? And I remember I kept doing this thing with my head where I would go, and I was trying to lean my head off axis to see how I would see my board landing and rolling away. And that was the other thing. The transition was very tight. It wasn't big enough for how far I was falling. And I could tell from doing things like this enough that I was like, how tight the transition is to how the amount of speed that I'm going to get into it. It doesn't seem possible, but there is a chance that you could just and take off and make it. I would have given myself, honestly, I would have given myself a 5% chance that I was going to make it. If you whip out, that's the other thing. I have whipped out before, and I was in and out of consciousness for like 6 hours. I woke up in hospital with a person wiping down my penis and balls with a warm towel and nose. That wasn't fun. That was emotional. I don't want that to happen, but here you are. I jumped in without any intention of putting the board down. And when I jumped in, as I fell down, as I got closer to where I was going to land, I was like, ooh, I see where you could land it. And I really didn't have anything else to offer in this demo. The rest of the course was just not suitable for anything that I could do. Everybody else, there's Costins, all these ripping skateboarders, they're all holding their own, they're all ripping. And I'm like, this is it. This is all you've got, And I'm just going to go up there and go. And I remember it got to the point where I had jumped in, I don't know, like 4 or 5 times. And people were like, whoa, he almost did it that time. And then I remember, I'm faking it. It's a pose. I know I'm not going to stand on it. I'm jumping in. I was putting the board on my feet. I was dive bombing in. And then at the last second, I would pull it out of the way and knee slide. And people were like, whoa, I can't believe he's even thinking about making that. And I just kept faking it. And then there was this one time where I faked it and held onto it a little longer. And I was like, I see it. I see how I could roll away from this. Still, I would have said at this point, from faking it, like they say, fake it till you make it, that there was a chance that I could make this. And I don't think it's for the right reasons, looking back. I thought the one reason that I felt was a good reason was you're saying goodbye to skateboarding. And you're saying goodbye to skateboarding in a way where you're being a man, You're being a ballsy, fearless warlord. And that's kind of how I wanted to be perceived. It's not even perceived. It's how I wanted to be. I wanted to be a warlord. I wanted to be a fearless, because I've always been scared. I'm scared. I'm scared of everything. That's the other thing. People say they're not scared. These days when people say, they tell you to be tough, and fearless. It's like, if you're telling me to be tough and fearless, then you've never done anything difficult. Because to say that you've never been scared is a lie, and the people on social media, I see it these days where these bearded weightlifter guys, they're getting called out, They're getting called out because it's got to the point now where some other tattooed guy that did prison time that's telling you to lift weights who thinks he's a ballsy guy, and now some other goober who's copying him, and now the public is like, whoa, 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 you are full of it, dude. And they're starting to get called out. So this is coming to an end, which is great news to me because, there's people out there, there's soldiers out there. You got this weightlifter guy that went to prison talking about how to be a man. There's people that have fought in wars with guns, explosives, hand to hand, friends. I got friends, Black Rifle friends, people that have served and fought for our freedoms that have lost, I don't know how many friends, but they are, as a person that has lost a lot of friends that he cares about, I've had conversations with one guy in particular where it was the only person that I could talk to when Dingo passed away, because my brother, my father, a lot of people, Ken Block, Dingo, all these people that I love the most, the people that I care about the most on this planet have died. And I don't know where to turn to anymore, and I feel alone. I'm like, I lost my best friend. The person I would want to call about the other person dying is dead. The people that understand that the most are the people that fight for our country. This guy that I talked to was like, I get it, man. I've been to so many funerals, I don't know what's going on anymore. And I'm like, that's how I feel when I go to funerals now. I'm mad. I'm mad that I'm here. I'm mad that you're here and you're eating a hot dog at the funeral. I'm like, how could you eat, you shithead? My friend is gone. And you're laughing in the corner. I wanted to punch people in the head at Dingo's funeral. It's not their fault. They're coping the way they're coping. But I felt alone. So when you talk about being tough and you smuggle drugs in your ass, well, I don't care. Whatever. You've been in fights, congratulations, but you haven't been in shootouts, constant shootouts. I haven't. I'm not saying I'm one of those people. But I'm also not saying I'm that tough, and I'm also not saying that I'm fearless. I'm saying I'm terrified. I'm saying if you don't say you're terrified, you're lying. That's what I'm saying. People are full of shit. Social media is full of shit. So anyway, I'm standing on this ledge, on this rafter, whatever the tomatoes, and I'm like, when you're on your deathbed, what would you do right now? My first sponsor that got me sober, Jimmy, who had a heart transplant, who knew that his heart was going to give out because it was 9 years and it's 10 years the heart lasts. He talked like he knew it was the end, and he talked about what is important, and he didn't bullshit. It was only what is important in life. And could he admit that bad things had happened to him and that he'd done bad things and that he would try to make apologies whenever necessary or whenever he would remember, because that's what's important in life, is to not be the winner, to not have all the money, to not have all the loved one followers bullshit. Is to be a good person and to be there for your brother and sister. He knew that because he was at the end. And when you're a person that has fought in wars, I haven't done it. But when you've had death knock on your door, you have a different outlook. Look, I've had a heart procedure. I've been on a hospital bed where they're like, "You're having a heart attack, Mr. Ellis. We're going to electrocute your heart." And I'm like, I've seen that in a movie. I'm going to die. And when I came out of that, I just looked at everything different, So when I'm tired and I don't want to do it anymore, I'm like, you're still alive. You're not in hospital. You do it. And that's this, when you see things in a way of a Lord of War, you live life to the fullest. And now that it's over and I'm 53 and I do not have the physical attributes to jump off a rafter into a ramp in front of 1,000 people, that it was going to be on TV for potentially 100,000 people, maybe more, I don't know, to push the boundaries, I'm glad I had that thought where I was like, I'm scared. I'm scared of waking up in an ambulance with a broken leg or worse. And if you haven't been in this situation and you want to talk shit, you don't mean anything. It's just a bark. You're a chihuahua behind a fence. It doesn't mean anything. You think you're tougher. See me on the street, man. Go for it. See what happens. You're just not about it. I don't want to be about it, but I have been pushed. And I know that if I have to be, I'm about it. And it's not a brag. It's an accomplishment. It's in my pocket. You can't take it from me. But anyway, I faked it. And I faked it and I faked it. And then I jumped in with the craziest intentions to make this thing. And when I landed it, my tail, from the weight of my body and the transition, so when the transition caught my skateboard and it whipped me down the ramp, the weight of me coming down on the board, the tail snapped off. And my tail skidded on the ground as I rolled across the flat. I made it as much as I could, as the skateboard allowed me. And I think in the end, the tail just came off. But I made it. I made a thing that for sure, when I first looked when I got there and I looked up, I was like, yeah, that'd be sick. And, I was probably high. And then when I got up there and I looked down, I was like, yeah, nah, that can't be done. Not by me anyway. And then we're talking an hour of like, fake it. Crowd's like, dude, you almost got it. By the way, when people tell you you've almost got it, they don't know. They don't care. When you don't got it, they'll be like, oh, man, I thought you had it. And then you go to hospital and they go to the party and go, man, I didn't think he had that. You know how I know that? Because this happened. But I made it. I made a thing that is, in my mind, impossible. Because I faked it until I made it. And then when it came to crunch time, I put everything I had. I conquered my fear. I faced my fear. Facing your fear is key. Facing your fear doesn't mean being tough. Being tough. Sometimes, I feel like being tough and facing your fear, that's not the same thing. Puffing up and acting tough is not facing your fear. Admitting you're scared is facing your fear. That's being tough. Admitting when you're scared, admitting when you're wrong, admitting your mistakes is a terrifying thing to do. And I can tell you this is the other thing, like acting tough. You don't think I've acted tough? You don't think that I'm a poser? Like, look at all my tattoos. Like, I go to the gym, I learn how to fight. Why? You know? Because in case you test me, I want to be able to back it up. I'm scared. So I've taught myself to defend myself so that you don't hurt me. Because I've been in fights when I was a kid where I lost. I lost most of my fights when I was a kid. I didn't really pick fights. I just got beat up for being annoying because I was drunk all the time. You know, saw my dad get in fights and hurt people in a way where I was like, I don't want to fight. It was the opposite. I didn't want to fight at all after watching my dad beat people up. I was like, oh, I think he killed a guy. You know, people were so hurt. But this thing with pretending to be tough, you fake it till you make it. You pretend to be tough long enough, you can become tough. That's not, you know, it's you get caught up in it. When you start acting tough and you have this outer exterior to like protect yourself. Because let's face it, sorry, I got this thing that's with me. When you act tough and you become tough and you believe you're tough, you walk around like you're tough, and then there's all these things that come with being tough. So you have to put up a wall, you know. And if it's always this tough thing, you lose yourself in it, you know. And like being open to love, being open to being loved, is facing fear, because facing rejection is very painful. You know, I've had heartbreak that has easily, you know, like I have had a compound fracture. I broke my wrist. I sent my elbow out of the back of my arm, and I broke my arm here as well. I broke it, shattered my stuff. I passed out from the compound fracture because I was like 16. It was like horrific. Surgery, put the cast on like 6 months before I could straighten my arm properly. It was a nightmare. Scared the shit out of me. I've been heartbroken, and it has taken years to get back to anything. And I think I think a lot of men are susceptible to this. I think a lot of men handle heartbreak worse than women. That's my opinion. We don't do well with it. So we're not that tough, you know, because that is a part of toughness. And when you make yourself this hard guy, same thing for women. You make yourself hard, you know, because it's more society, American society, being tough. Chicks dig it. Your friends dig it. It's cool to be tough. But you're tough to the point where the real you is trapped in here. You're not exposing it. Because if you expose it, it's you could be hurt again, you know? And we don't want to be hurt. No one's going to hurt me anymore. So I'm going to puff up and I'm going to shield my heart so it doesn't get broken anymore. Dudes do this. Girls know. I don't know how many girls watch this. I would assume not too many. It's a bummer. But we do. But again, you know, it's like, what do you know? And I'm like, I know what it's like to be dark, man. I know what it's like to hate myself. I know what it's like to be light, man. I know what it's like to love myself. I didn't read it. I can't read. I lived it. And I lived it over and over again. I've had highs and lows, not one high and one low. I've been up and down a lot. That sounded a little gay, but you know what I mean. I've had highs and lows. I've learned, and then I've had a high that made me forget about the low and forget about being grateful and forget about like the people that helped me get there and just shut off into the stratosphere with like a jerk off and then crashed again and gone, oh no. And then guess what? Nobody gives a shit about you anymore. And then you realize what it's like to just be a normal person again. And you hate it because you believed your own bullshit. You actually thought you were special. Yeah, man. Jason Ellis here talking about dicks. Hims helps you with your bone. And when your bone's in the zone, mama comes home. Oh, my God. My cat is like, that was the dumbest thing you've ever said. But why not? Why not do the extra in the bedroom? Why not go to the effort and hit up Hims and support your boner? I mean, if it wasn't for your dad's bone, you wouldn't be here. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/Ellis. That's me name. Find ED treatment that's up to 95% less than the brand names at hims.com/Ellis. hims.com/Ellis. Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured product include compounded drug products. Nice. Which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information. But when you try to be tough all the time, you might end up making a wall or an outer shell that no longer shows who you really are, so you can never really be loved. And some of you might be like, who really loved? Like, what a homo. If you're this tough guy that doesn't need to be really loved, you're lying. We all need to be loved. It feels good to be loved. But you can't be loved wholeheartedly if you're not exposing who you really are. So if you're puffing up, if you're acting like something that you're not to impress your friends that are usually not your friends, if they think that that's a thing that is cool, then the person that loves you doesn't know who you really are. It's a thing we do. It's like when you go on a first date, you pretend you're this thing, and then slowly but surely you fart in the living room, you know? Do you ever go on a date with a girl where you go, wait, I'll have another drink? You don't, you know? Because you think if you fart in front of your girlfriend the first night you go out, she probably won't go out with you again. Well, guess what? We fart. Sometimes my stomach hurts. I got to fart. And sometimes you cry. Sometimes you're scared. Sometimes you're dumb. You say dumb shit. And if your loved one loves you, no matter what it is, because that's love, man. That's love. You know? If my girlfriend farts, I'm not breaking up with her. Still hasn't done it, but I'm sure she will. You know? Guys that are scared of things, that admit they're scared of things. You know? If you're just this fearless warlord that has never feared anything. I never met that guy. As I've said, Mike Tyson's scared before every fight. So I don't know many people that are tougher than him. So if you say you've never been scared, I believe you're a liar. But like I said, this thing is not a thing that I read. It's a thing that I experienced. I've been tough. I've pretended to be something that I'm not. I have attracted things into my life that were what I was putting out there. I was pretending to be evil, mean, and tough. And the people that were attracted to that were also doing the same. And it was a negative life. I was attacking people for their insecurities because I was hiding my own insecurities. Something doesn't add up. You don't feel right. You don't feel whole. And, you know, like it goes both ways. Some people can be full of light where they're also full of shit. They're so happy it's bullshit, you know? A lot of, you know, ayahuasca, fucking swinger lives. You're full of shit, dude. You ain't happy. You know, you acted like you're living the best life ever. And then, like, 2 years later, you're crying on a podcast because people are picking on you because you're coming on everybody. Hopefully you strip yourself down and restart and be open, be honest. I'm scared to just sleep with one person because I don't feel like enough people love me. I feel like I've had sex with lots of people. That's what makes me feel whole. Why? Why is one person not enough for you? Really analyze that. Maybe don't do ayahuasca or just sit there dead sober and analyze it with your own fucking brain. But you put enough walls up, you fall in love with somebody, and you realize that you're not there in love with something you're not. And then for the rest of your life, you've got to pretend that you're that thing to keep them happy. Or they'll leave you and find something that is more suitable to what they were looking for. That darkness that they are attracted to. Maybe that person is also living a facade. Maybe that person's really that dark. And then they've finally made their dark match in heaven. Congratulations. When you realize that you're not who you really think you are, or you're living this life where you don't need anybody else and you're all alone, again, I didn't read it. I know what it's like to be all alone. It's not good. I like being alone sometimes, but I don't want to be alone, and I don't think any of us really do. And I think anybody that says that they love to be alone and only want to be alone for the rest of their lives and everything they use is just like to get something from, and like, here, you blow me now, get the fuck out of here. I don't think you're happy. I'm not saying I know you're not happy. I'm just saying I don't believe that you're happy. I believe you're either lying or you're not happy. One of the two. I'm also not saying be, a soft, loving hippie, Like, as I said, these guys are full of shit too. You know what I think is? I think tough is not quitting. That's what I think tough is. I think most of us get to a point with life, things, situations, people, where we've had enough, and then we quit. And maybe you don't say the word quit because it's triggering, but you have. I have. I've quit things. I quit things that I didn't love, but maybe I didn't see the love in it. Maybe it was worth working through. I think working through stuff is scary. Admitting you're scared can sometimes help you keep going and working through things. But I think a lot of people get sick of stuff and they just quit. Get sick of people and just quit. Quit on people. Also, at the same time, when it comes to people, it ain't a piece of wood. If somebody's got no intention of working with you, there's only so much you can put up with where you got to move on with your life. You can't die trying to fix somebody who doesn't want to be fixed. You can't die trying to get somebody sober who doesn't want to get sober. A lot of people that want to get sober can't get sober. So if you're trying to get someone sober who doesn't want to get sober, that's gonna be tough. If you're an addict of sorts, I think we all are, really. I think there's obviously, there's like these scales of it. Like if you're a heroin addict, okay, you're an addict. If you're an alcoholic where you just drink every day and you get the shakes if you don't drink, that's pretty easy to read. Then you got your like casual. Sure, like I only drink on the weekends, but I black out, or I only drink a couple beers every night, like. I only do kratom to get off the pain pills. I know this is, for some weird reason, that one is the most offensive thing that I've said out of everything. Like an alcoholic, a guy that drinks beers every night is going to, fuck you, Ellis. He's just going to be like, yeah, man, that's my choice. For some weird reason, the kratom one it's got everybody. Ooh, take my kratom. I can take your kratom. I don't know. Have it, dude. Have it all. I don't care. It's like saying I don't want to have sex on camera anymore and a bunch of OnlyFans people coming after me. Fuck that. I'm fucking everybody on camera tonight. What the hell, Ellis? You're not taking my OnlyFans. I'm not trying to take your OnlyFans, you fucking insane lunatic. Have it. Come on, everyone. I don't care. But addictive people are special people. Which again means, because I think we're all addicts. We're all addicted to the phone. Most of us are addicted to coffee or cigarettes or nicotine or porn or cheese, cheese is pretty shitty. Like, cheese is like this weird, spewy, gluttonous thing. It's like a thing we got used to. Like, remember when I don't remember, it wasn't here, but there was no cheese. At one point, there was no cheese. Nobody had cheese. Cheese is man-made. You can't just suck on a cow's tit and cheese comes out. You gotta do stuff. Do we really need cheese? Do we really need bread? I don't like the weird social media things where it shows you, this is what my stomach looked like on bread in America, and this is what bread looked like in Europe, and my stomach's all flat. I'm like, I'm mad because I'm here, and I like bread. I want to go to Paris and have bread and be skinny. Bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Somebody's lying, and I reckon it's everyone. I reckon just don't have bread. Sometimes bread's cool. Donuts are bready, right? Well, I'm not giving that up. But sometimes too many donuts, then no donuts. You can do a little bit, But if you're a guy that has a donut and then you have to have 6 donuts every night and you cannot live without 6 donuts every night, you probably can't have any donuts. It's like if you have a little bit of kratom on a Saturday because your back's sore or you want to get loose but you don't want to drink. But if you do kratom every night, you do 6 shots every day, and you start mumbling and drooling on your shit and throwing up every now and then because you did too many kratoms, guess what? And that's all I was trying to say about the crates, so. So if you drink a beer and you have to work on a Saturday, good for you. If you drink them every night, if you can't stop drinking, if you get wasted and you fucking tell your wife she's a dumb bitch, you should probably not drink. But I think these realizing you're addicted to something and fighting back and taking your life back from it and making your life better without it is such a huge victory. And I don't think people realize the feeling of accomplishment when you defeat these things that we're all addicted to. It just depends on how much you're losing from it. If you're happy being 5 pounds overweight, then eat Taco Bell every Friday night. I don't care. If you care, that's the other thing. You look in the mirror. Do you care? Do you care? Are you in denial? You know the answer. You do know the answer. Addicts are powerful people. And we're all addicted to something. So we're all powerful people. So you can get up and you can make another choice with your life and become a powerful person. Everything that hurts you, find a way to let it go and move on. Everything that scares you, face it. Go through it. I guess you just got to know when something's hurting you or when something's scaring you. And if you're paying attention to that, then you'll be all right. Because I'm telling you, man, we're going to die, And who knows, man, maybe the spirit world is badass. But it's just like, I don't know. What if it's not? What if it's alone? Rubber Bean, you had your chance. He's a good boy. He's a good boy who's a dirty boy who's found some dirt somewhere in this house that he rolls in, and then he gets in my bed, and then he rolls in my bed, and then there's a dirt patch in my bed. And then when I get in my bed, I'm like, I don't want to get in my bed. I'm sleeping in cat turds. Maybe it's just dust from the incense machine or something. It's not an incense machine. You know what I mean? There's like an incense thing I have, burner. And I think he rubs himself on that. So if I'm sleeping in incense, that's cool. But if it's shit crystals from the kitty litter, I'd rather it wasn't, Anyway, I just think tough guys aren't that tough. Unless you're a soldier. Then you are that tough. If you're a veteran, Thank you for your service. And no, I don't know what it's like to be you. But if you're just some jack-off with a tap-out t-shirt or something, shut the fuck up. I'll fucking sweat any of you fools. And if you're in recovery, you can hit me up anytime, man. I'll help you as best I can. You know, a lot of people message me about the Kratom stuff all the time. Funny how people that don't like what I say about Kratom just say it on the main page where everybody gets to see them. But the people that DM me that thank me for what I'm talking about, the sincerity, people being sincere, they are in my DMs. It's almost like the people that are on the main page, they don't want to slip into my DMs because they don't want to have a face-to-face with somebody. They want it to be on speakerphone. You know, because you're fucking scared. Because you know I'm right. That's why it's triggering to you. Yeah, you're triggered by this stuff. Also, while I'm here, comedians that all hang out with each other that talk about how women have enough rights and, you know, you gotta, you know, the fucking Elon Musk has a lot of good points and, you know, and some of them have been accused of sleeping with younger people and they all kind of hang out with each other. I think I would like to see their dicks. Because here's my theory. And I know if you're thinking, Jason, are you going gay again? No. No, I don't want to touch it. I'm pretty sure that it's little. And you're secretly mad about it. And you secretly hate women because you don't really want to show them that. Because ladies, you do giggle. You do kind of put guys down for not packing. And it's not fair, you know? Rumbler Bean, I got fucking 5 minutes, man. Just fucking deal with it. Don't let him in or out. You stay here and you suck it. Wait, you know what I mean? Suck a butt. Jerk off. He just knows that if he meows, people will let him in and out. And then he'll be, I don't want to let me in. And then let me out. And he's like, I control everything. I'm in charge of this podcast. And right now, he is. But yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know, I don't know, man. I don't want to start shit. But no one's really listening to this anyway. But I don't know. Maybe Jeff Dye's a good guy. I don't know. He's got a weird-ass Karen haircut. It's like a Karen for men. It's like a comb over at the front, push one side's over this. I don't even think he's going bald. This makes he's looking like he's going bald. Like, remember Karen in the 80s? What was the one that Karen, the guy that had the Asian husband that had all the kids? What was the one some bitch passed, she got a bunch of kids, they had a show, they broke up. But it's like a side part where it's like this goes along here and then there's a little extra bit here. He has that. And he just always talks shit on chicks and like this weird white guy, you know, trans. It's like, you're just suspect, you know? And then like people wear, you know, like I think I saw a video making fun of Jake Paul, like you dress like it. And I'm like, dude, you have a shirt that hangs like a foot over your dick. You're hiding your little penis, and then a jacket that's shorter. Like, fuck your style, you know? Fuck you. Brown shoes. Who wears brown shoes, dude? What is that? Brown dinner attire? Like, I don't know. Maybe he's a good guy. I don't know. I'm just suspect. Suspicious. If I was a private investigator on you being an asshole or having a small dick, my eye'd be on you. But I could be completely wrong. Might be a sweetheart with a huge schlong. I don't know why I said schlong. I don't know why I said any of that. I'm sure I'll probably get heat for it, but also the good thing about Jason Ellis show these days is I could probably just start doing Elon salutes and nobody would fucking care. Maybe that could be my new thing. I just call out everybody until finally. You see Jason Ellis talking about, I'm like, yeah! Right, Jibba Jib? You got a little dick. You seem to be nice to ladies. See what I mean? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But maybe. Maybe, I know. Maybe I'm right, Jibba Jib. Maybe I'm right. So, yeah. This is my life, you know. Been doing testosterone for like 10 years now. I think my balls are getting small. That's hot, right, ladies? 53. Balls are getting smaller. My hemorrhoids are getting bigger. I don't know if they're getting bigger, but it just sounds funny. I like to make fun of make fun of myself. Just to even things up, you know. I'm not as cool as you think. I'm gonna go skating tonight with Bam Margera. Pretty cool, right? Yeah. Bucky Lassick. Got to tell you, the last time I went skating with Bam Margera and Bucky Lassick was on the Tony Hawk's gigantic skate park tour. That's 20 years ago. So this is going to be a funny session. And I have the key, which is also a thing. It's like, you think you're having a bad day, Jace Cakes? I have a key to Tony Hawk's ramp. That's power. Then you get the woman, then you get the money, then you get the fame. Wait, I said it backwards. I don't really care. I don't really care about money. I don't really care about women. I don't really care about fame. It feels good. Okay, I'm lying. I like money. I like one woman. So, which is also, whew, man, when you're trying to bone everybody, and then you're not trying to bone everybody, boy, is that a relief. Like trying to impress women. When you're trying to impress women, even like if you're trying to impress women just in case they might like want to sleep with you at a later date, it's like you just put up with so much shit, you know? It's like people talk, man. I'm just like, fuck off. I don't say fuck off. I just walk off. Like old me be like, well, really, that's interesting, because you never know, they might change their mind. Or, you know, I could like, you know, be attacked by a monkey and have half a face, and then like, you know, who's gonna sleep with me? Not as many. So I definitely hope that I was nice to that one ugly chick like 5 years ago. You know, you got to think ahead. So you never know. People still have monkeys as pets. Is that still a thing? Why do you do that? Why would you do that? Also, did you know that the coffee where the monkey shits it out, do you know that that's not good coffee? You idiot. Anybody who bought that coffee, you deserved that coffee. You idiot. So there you go. Let's recap. If you're scared, good. Just admit it. Walk in. Face it. Face your fears. Don't be too tough. Because at the end of the day, we're all soft. It's like the Cadbury eggs. That's okay. I've done enough. I've ran out of making any sense. I'm not sure if I made any sense, but it's my show. I do whatever the fuck I want. See you next week. Don't die.